Based on first-hand experiences of the 2014 uprising in Ukraine, the award-winning production Counting Sheep will be one of this year's Volt Festival opening performances. It brings the life and death situations faced by those caught up in the violence in Kiev to the stage through music, protest and dance. Natalia Kaliada has directed and co-written the piece. We're going to be speaking to her in a moment. First, let's just take a look at a clip from the trailer. Just a taste of what you can expect down in Waterloo. Natalia is with us. Lovely to see you. Thank you for coming in.
Very happy to be here.
Let's start with the couple at the heart of this piece to begin with, the storyline. That they are real people, they existed. Just tell us what happened to them.
Mark and Marchak, two people with amazing true story. Mark, who is Canadian, who discovered himself as a Ukrainian later in his life, and his first trip to Ukraine was in 2008 only. It was that age of a young person when you want to resist your family, and he decided to go to his roots, back to Ukraine. He didn't know Ukrainian language at that time, and he finally managed to get to Lviv and Kiev. And there he started to discover himself as Ukrainian again, because his family is coming from Ukraine. And Marija is very well-known singer in Ukraine, who was singing at many different concerts in Ukraine. She is an incredible singer of folk. Ukrainian folk that is based on 1,000-year-old songs, and it's one of those parts that you will definitely experience within the show. And they met not in those very happy moments and events in Ukrainian contemporary history, when Putin and Yanukovych, president of Russia and president of Ukraine, had a conversation when President of Ukraine decided that they will not sign association with EU. And that was exactly that turning point for Ukraine. Mark went to Ukraine not to protest. He went there for film purposes because he was inviting Ukrainian musicians to work for a Hollywood production. And he went there. Director of the film said, there is no way any of you could join in the protest because we are making a history, meaning we're making a film about history in Ukraine. And all creatives listened to it. They said, see you tomorrow. And many of them who were British and American stayed in their hotel. Mark, with his Ukrainian rebellion soul, went to Freedom Square, to Maidan. And that was that particular day when he saw a woman who was singing on stage. It was built-up stage type of a barricade, and it was Marija who was there. Yeah. It was that moment when he saw her, she didn't see him, and the whole love story developed much later. And I will not tell you all the details, otherwise there is no reason for you to come and see the show. Yes. And this is what you need to do. Yeah.
How much of this is about the politics of what happened, and how much is it about the human relationship aspect, the two of them coming together?
I think very often we hear the phrase that artists have to be above the politics. And it's very interesting for me personally, and for my husband, who is co-director of the show, Nicolai Collison, because we are political refugees from Belarus, that is better known as the last dictatorship of Europe. And for us, it's not possible to separate life and personal relationship from politics. We started to do what we do in our life when our friends been kidnapped and killed in Belarus. When our friends been trying to make Belarus part of European Union. And it's a very similar story that happened in Ukraine. And that's the main reason why we agreed to direct the show with Mark and Marija. It's because it's not possible for people in the UK, where we are now political refugees for the last 8 years, when the UK became our second home, where our children go to school, to understand how we in this country sit and observe how our freedoms are taken from us. Because in Ukraine and Belarus, people are ready to be killed, fighting for freedom, fighting for values, European values. And we have one amazing tool as art and theater. And we use that particular incredible tool to talk to people about what freedom means, what it means how to create art when this freedom exists, and what it means when this freedom is taken, then this is the moment when arts will not exist anymore.
Is there a cruel sense of irony about your situation and what we are experiencing as a country at the moment, in that you have fought to be part of the EU? And you have been removed from your country because of that battle, and the UK is now in some ways fighting to leave the EU. Do you feel aggrieved by that?
It's a very it was a moment when the UK voted to leave. It was early morning, and we were at home, and my mother was sitting in the kitchen in a house of our friend where we live in London. And she was crying and she was in tears. And she said, it's not possible to believe that back in Belarus, your friend's been killed for trying to be part of EU. You've been fighting for that. And now this country is going backwards. And it's necessary for all of us to remember that history of Europe is history of war. And EU was that particular tool that kept us together, and what it might happen to us when we just fall apart within the EU. Because what Russia is doing is a pretty huge threat, not only to our part of the world from where I come, Ukraine or Belarus or any former Soviet Union republic, but Russia is bringing threat now to the whole world, including this country, where you and me now.
That is something which our government has said, and has said they are considered a threat. Let's bring it back to the production. Tell us about the mix of ways in which you tell this story, because there is music, there is the protests. We also will have the narrative in there as well.
Counting Sheep, it's an amazing guerrilla folk opera.
Yeah.
And we call it Staging a Revolution. So together with all our audience members, we will be staging a revolution right there on stage. And we will have audience who will completely be immersed into that revolution. We also will have observers, like in real life. We will have those people who will just watch on TV, or like you do it on iPhone when you follow news but you are not engaging in it. So we're bringing that experience to people in order to try to be in those positions where you could have the protest, where you could build up a revolution, or when you just sit and observe. But what is unique in this particular production is collaboration, unique artistic collaboration, because we have Ukrainian singers, we have Belarusian actors of Belarus Free Theatre, those people who are on stage, they went through arrests back in Belarus. They know what oppression and repression means. We have an absolutely beautiful leading actors from Canada and from the UK, and we're very happy to do that with Oliver King and Wild Yak production, because it's exactly Oliver who did Queen of Syria, bringing refugees on stage a long time ago. And it will be done with incredible mixture of songs, dances, food, drinks. We will just party at the very beginning, and then we will try to understand when our freedom might be taken, what jointly we could do it, and trying to blur lines between theater and real life, because what is happening today in the UK, it's already, those lines are so blurred between real life and politics and arts as well. But same time, what is happening in Ukraine when Russia is keep fighting and the war is still going on, and that part of the world is under huge threat. So it's necessary for us to tell the story, but doing that with the most amazing arts, the most incredible and beautiful music. And Mark and Marija, amazing musician, fantastic voices, and you will be completely immersed into that love, and you will be absorbed by that, what you will see on stage.
Natalia, thank you for selling it and giving us a sense of what we can expect so well. Lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much for coming in. Natalia Kaliada there, who has directed and co-written this performance. Let's remind you of when it is on. It is one of the opening pieces at the Volts Festival in Waterloo. It's called Counting Sheep. It opens there on the 23rd of January and it runs through until mid-March.